I'll just do a brief summary of what the fellowship is, who sponsors it, blah, blah, blah. And then we can get down to the application process proper. So the Mandela Washington Fellowship is a flagship program of the United States Department of State, and it does this in collaboration with the Yali Network and IREX. So IREX is the organization that ensures that the program runs smoothly, and it is sponsored by the United States Department of State. So what Yali Network does is to oversee the application process, and then the different Yali networks in different African countries get to pick cohorts, fellows in each cohort, and then they submit these to the United States Department of State, and the fellowship now happens. So it started in 2014, and COVID affected it a little between 2019 and 2020 and 2021, actually, because those cohorts had a remote fellowship of some sort. They didn't get to travel because, of course, of the lockdown and movement restrictions. So we were the first cohort to actually go again physically after the 2019 cohort. Yeah. Usually 700 fellows are chosen from different countries in Africa, and the number of fellows per country differs based on the amount of applications that are received, the in quotes, caliber of applications that are received, and all of that. So you'll see some countries have 56. I think Nigeria had the highest number of fellows, which is a good thing because it means that there are way too many people doing amazing things in Nigeria. So Nigeria had the highest, and you will see other countries had 12, 25. Some countries had even 7. So yes, we just went to show how competitive the process is, not just in Nigeria, but in other countries, and how these applications are reviewed very keenly. Can we have a person?
This thing is noisy.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. Okay. All right. So I'll just jump into the application process proper. It opens up between August and September, and this year's application opens up on the 16th of August and runs until the 13th of September. I tell this story, well, I started telling this story after I got the fellowship because I shouldn't have done that. So I started the application. First, I stumbled upon the fellowship program as a whole on LinkedIn, and I was like, okay, nice. I should apply for this. And then I opened the link and started the process, but then I abandoned it. And I think I started maybe like 15 days or so to the end of the application timeline. And I abandoned it until the last day. And that was when I sat down to do fire brigade application. It's a terrible thing to do. I don't advise anybody to do it, which is why I am happy to share my little knowledge. Not very little, but useful to help everyone else who is putting in an application. So the whole essence of the fellowship is that they are picking out leaders who have shown commitment to their work, shown passion for whatever sector that they work in, and have been able to do something with what they have at the moment. So the fellowship then gives you a sort of a larger playing ground and exposes you to networks beyond what you will normally have been exposed to, so that you are able to amplify this work that you already do. So it's not something that you want to use to start up a process that you have not done before. I mean, you could use it to start a project, but you need to demonstrate that you have passion and experience in that particular sector that you are applying to. And then you need these networks and this visibility and this support to amplify this work that you are already doing. So there are 3 tracks in the fellowship. There's the business management track, there's the public management track, and then there's the civic engagement track. You will be asked to pick what track fits you best. But then, based on your work, your previous experience, and your track record, you will be put into the track that they think will best profit you for the fellowship. For example, I am a doctor, I work in public health, and I work in the NGO space. So I do work in development and civic engagement. But at the same time, I run a business, and I picked both civic engagement and business tracks. And I guess from track record and experience, it made more sense for me to be placed in civic engagement. And that is what I was given, and that's what I went on to do. So you can pick any of those. Public management focuses on people who work with government agencies, who run maybe like corporations, and who are really in the public space, people who are in the public space. So it gives you the opportunity to network with other people who work in these kind of public sectors. And then you get to rub minds with them and learn from their experience. Civic engagement, I already mentioned, it's for people in the development space. So I had a lot of people who were working on environmental issues, gender issues, health, education, anything that needs you to engage with the communities, give back to your community, engage with the government as either a civil society or a non-governmental organization. So the civic engagement track gives you the extra knowledge that you need to further your work in that aspect. And then business management is, of course, for people who run businesses. So you will still find people from health, gender, environmental sectors, but then you will see that these are people who either own a startup or are considering starting one. So the business management track helps you to put together all that you need to either grow your startup or get it started in the first place based on the work that you have done before. I was telling someone, yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, that your social profile, if I can call it that, is very important when putting in an application, because they want to see evidence of the work that you have done. For example, I started building, and it's funny because I wasn't building these profiles because I was gunning for the fellowship. I only knew about the fellowship the first time I stumbled on it last year. But I was building my social profile really not just because of that, but for my career and for the future, just to, gain credibility and to show the work that you have done before. So it goes a long way in supporting your application. So it's a long application process, to be honest. There are essays that you have to answer. You have to go in depth into the work that you do and give details, give numbers, and show that what you have been doing has really been benefiting the community, the government, your country, and all of that. So apart from that, they go ahead to request for your social media handles, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you have some sort of proof on those handles, of course, your application will also rank higher, because it's like you have been, more like you have been journaling your work over the years. So they could go back as far as 2017 and see that you did work in this community. And then in 2019, they see that you organized blah, blah, blah. And then in 2020, you were part of this project that did this and that. All of it adds up to the strength of your application, in addition to what you actually write in your application. It's about you telling your story, because that's what I did. Someone asked me, how many times have you been applying for the fellowship? And I said it was my first time. So how did you get your application to scale through? I do not know that for a fact, but what I know is that I was telling my story. And I think it's well, except you are not very good with writing or you are not exactly articulate. And if you need help with that, you can always reach out for help. It's easy for you to speak about the work that you do when you have passion for it. So in these essays, you will see that they bring out some kind of scenarios that you would have encountered in your work and ask you how you dealt with this, or they will ask you for what you have done so far and the people that has benefited. So you just find that you can dig into the archives of all of the stuff that you have done and tell the story. So if I'm not mistaken, there were maybe 5 essay questions and they were very long. But then you see a question saying something about, oh, what is the work that you have done in your community and how does this relate to it? Nelson Mandela's blah, 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 of blah, blah, blah. And then you think, oh, there was this time where I was in a community and I was doing this and this happened and this happened and this was how it was handled and this was the end result. That's what they want to hear. Or then they ask you about a time where you faced a challenge, maybe you went to a community. I think I can remember one question where they asked about a challenge actually. And I remembered one community that we went to and we were met with very stiff, like a lot of hostility, and how we navigated that process, what happened after that, whether the project went on to take place in that community or not, and what the end result was. So it's really you telling your story, but telling it in a way that they can feel the passion that you have for the work that you do. They can see the results that you have gotten so far and that you are eager to do more. That is very important. So when they ask you how do you think the fellowship will contribute towards advancing the work that you do? And then you say, for me, I work in gender and I really work in the intersection between gender and health. So it was more around me saying, oh, I have reached this number of women so far in the course of my work. The fellowship will give me the opportunity to network with blah, 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 blah. And I will gain the knowledge and skills I need to amplify my work. I will have access to some organizations that I can collaborate with to expand the scope of my work, to upscale to other communities, and just to reach more girls and women with the services that we offer. There's an application pack that details what they require from you, really. It just gives a breakdown. I'll share that with you and we can put it on the Telegram group, right? So it gives a breakdown of what they require from you, eligibility requirements, countries. I mean, every country is eligible last I checked. Eligibility requirements, what they need from you, just gives you an idea of how your application is meant to go, but it will not give you in-depth knowledge of what the questions will look like. And the questions usually change, but not very different per year. But like I said, it's more around you telling your story, detailing the work that you have done. Numbers are very important. I did it on short notice when I sent in my application, but what I did was that for every essay question that there was, I copied it out and put it on a Google Doc, and first just typed out my thoughts, the numbers, all the things I could remember, the scenarios, blah, 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 and had them on that doc. And then I began to modify that. There's a character limit, I think. So you have to make your story fit into that character limit, but you should be as elaborate as possible. It's better for you to be right on the dot with 1,000 words than for you to send in 150 words of just 10 lines. It's more like this person is not serious yet. So be as elaborate as possible. try to fit it the character limit. The character limits that's allowed. So yes, what I said was I will copy the essay questions that were on the application portal and put it on a Google Doc and then answer it based on how it comes off in my head. And because this is the work that you do, as you answer these questions, the scenarios pop up, more ideas come in, and you are able to articulate it better. What that does for you is that you can visualize the whole thing on the document and edit it as necessary for you. Put it fast on the application portal itself. And then you can edit it based on whether it is above the character limit or not. There are stages. So there's the application process that is opening up on the 16th and ends on the 13th of September. And then after that, just take your mind off it and go and rest because it's quite a wait until the call for interviews, and that is the semifinals. So applications that are deemed strong enough will then go on to the semifinal stage where you get to physically speak about the work that you are doing. And this is, I mean, within those months of waiting between September, for us, I think we got invites to interviews in December. I got an invite in December. So within those months between when you submitted your application and when they call for interviews, they are really just doing their background check. These links that you put in your CV, are they really verifiable? This story that you're telling us, can we find it on your LinkedIn from years ago? Is it on your Facebook? Is it on your Instagram? Were there threads of it on Twitter? Is there something to back up what you are saying, really? And then they really searched social media because some questions in my interview, I was like, what? Where did you get this? Well, yeah, we went through your Instagram and your Facebook, and I think your website. So all of those things are more like social proof that they are looking for. And then when you come on your interview, that is the point where you have to defend the work that you do, and you can speak as elaborately as you want, though there will be questions and they will sort of try to streamline the questions or streamline your answers to fit the questions that you are being asked. But it is really your ability to then sell yourself. Like if you were to be going for a job interview and they're asking you, so why should we hire you? That's the point where you begin to tell them, I am this, I am that, I have this, I have that, I have done this, I have done that. If you give me this fellowship, I'll be able to do more, do this, double the number of women and girls that we have reached. You know, more girls will be in school. We're providing more health services to this number of girls because we will have a larger platform and we would have had access to more services. We'll probably have upskilled ourselves. Our team will be able to reach out to these organizations that we've networked with and collaborate with them to achieve these goals that we have set out. So for the interview, it's a sell yourself process. I remember after we had gotten to the finals and we set up the Niger WhatsApp group, the stories of other fellows and how they sold themselves. It was hilarious because at that point, it's like do or die. I have gotten here and I must go beyond here. So people sold themselves. The weird thing is, after I finished my interview and my friend asked me, oh, how did it go? Man, I took my mind off it because I wasn't sure I had sold myself enough. But I think I did. Maybe I just wasn't as, what's the word? As gingered as other people were, but I did. I had 2 interviews that day. It was not an interview like that. But then it was concrete enough. The application I had sent in was watertight enough. They had gone to do their background checks and everything added up. There's one thing I almost missed. Your story has to be consistent. So that's one mistake I almost made because I could fit into either civic engagement or business management. So I needed to stick to a story, really. I focused on my work in gender and health, but then I still mentioned my business and it was there in the mix. But your story has to be consistent in that the questions follow themselves. What have you done so far? Why should we give you the fellowship? What do you plan to achieve during the fellowship? What are your plans after the fellowship? What kind of work do you want to get done when or after you get the fellowship? So although I mentioned my business in maybe one or two essay questions, I made sure to stay on the track of my project is focused on reaching women and girls. I think how I weaved in my business was the entrepreneurial part where I said skill empowerment for women, and we could provide that aspect. But if in one question you're answering civic engagement, in the next question you're talking about business, the next question you're talking about something in the public sector, it kind of doesn't give a good look, because it's like you're not sure of exactly what you want to do, and they need you to show focus in one track so that it makes their work easier, and at the same time it shows that you know what you're doing. It shows that you know what you're doing. So try to keep your story consistent, because during the interview they will ask you, and if you lied, you have to be able to remember all your lies and to keep up with them, because they will drill you during that interview. So if you said something that was untrue and you can't remember it any longer, then you are going to have problems. So if you're telling the truth, you don't necessarily have to remember the truth, because it is the truth. And when you're asked, that is what will come to mind. So as much as you are trying to showcase the work that you have done and convince them to at least get you to the interview stage, don't lie. Don't even exaggerate your numbers, because you need to back up what you have said. You need to show proof of what you have said. And if there's no proof, you will have problems. So those are the basics, to be honest.
Thank you very much, Dr. K. Does anyone have a question? If you have any questions, specific questions, please ask her now. If you want to know what the experience is in the US, see how she's glowing. She just got back. Yes, please. Did they really give you an honorary citizenship?
Oh, yes. Yes, they did.
Wow.
Yeah, so the county we were in, the mayor gave us honorary citizenship of Athens Clark County in Georgia.
So you have blue passport now?
It doesn't work that way though. But it makes it easier on subsequent and for other, when you are applying for the passport itself, all of these things add up, and it really just makes it easier. You will not get drilled that much when you go for visa interviews, subsequent visits, when you make such applications. It's a lot easier, because it just gives credibility to your person that you were on a program sponsored by the United States Department of State.
Wow. Okay, Latifa, please ask your question.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. so much for sharing your experience. And we'll describe one ginger like this right now. My question is this: you talked about how there's like a timeline through media platforms and see how what you've so far for people that are like in the business sector. Is that I mean, to see what they do to people that are in the business sector.
Okay, we lost her. Her line was.
Yeah. when she's back, can she type it in the chat?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Aisha, I've asked you to unmute.
Yes, I'm unmuted. I just
Okay.
accepted.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. I actually applied last year, but my application didn't get through because those questions are really technical, really. Sure, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm actually into agri business. I just started, and we just to start up agro business into processing and packaging. So maybe the problem I really had was I was not able to like really tell my story, and to be honest, really don't much. So I'm a kind of person that I'm not that present on social media. I don't really like to post people. I just started posting of recent and some of my works and all that. So I don't really know. Will you be available to like maybe probably if we put up our application this year, maybe you can help us review our application or something like that, or maybe just give us insight about how to really answer those questions. And then you tell us the kind of things we should do on our social handles, like
Okay.
what and what, stuff like that. So that if they want to
Okay.
go back and check our social media angles, what they'll see and stuff like that. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. Um, well done first on the work that you're doing. I always find agricultural businesses to be, you are very brave because it's not an easy sector to be in. For business track, you may not necessarily have a social media trail, but if you have a business and you have there were people whose businesses were visited physically. Somebody said they were, yes, I can't remember who, but someone in the Niger cohort said one of the mornings, his staff called and said, oh, some people are here and they're looking for you. And they said we should call you. I think he was at a meeting that morning. So he left what he was doing and went to his place of business. And there they were, a team from Yali Network came to see what exactly they are doing. Yes. So if you have a physical place of business, that helps. You can throw that into the application somehow. But for agriculture, you need to have for everyone, you need to have a value proposition. What problem are you solving? And who are the people that you are solving this problem for? For me, it's like, we already know that interior communities lack, access to health services. Girls and women are even more affected because they have a lot more peculiar issues that could affect them. So what is the value that I am offering? I'm reaching these people with health services, sexual and reproductive health education, and then I am supporting the ones who do not have access to maybe education, linking them with other organizations that can provide these services. So that is the value I'm offering, and that is the demography of people that I am offering this value to. So you run an agricultural business. What are you focused on? We had at least 5 people in my cohort, if I'm not mistaken, who are in agriculture. One of them was in University of Georgia with me. And what the summary of his work is that he is reaching farmers in interior areas because he is trying to get them to mechanize farming. So they will be able to do this little when they use human power and when they have people tilling the fields and whatever. If they are able to mechanize their farming, they will be able to do times 10 or whatever number of what they are doing at the moment. So they are providing food to the communities and blah, blah, blah. That was one person. The other person was providing foods. So not necessarily processed foods, but nutritious foods that didn't contain preservatives and stuff, but were made out of locally sourced agricultural products. So it's you are helping the farmers who give you these products because you are buying this off them. They are making money, and then you are making these products and you are reaching malnourished children, undernourished children, and that is the value that you are offering. So hers was kind of a two-pronged approach. There were quite a number of other people, but in essence, what I'm saying is that you need to show them what value that you are offering with your agricultural business, the people that you are reaching, the people you intend to reach after the fellowship, and how the fellowship will help you to amplify the work that you do.
Wow, thank you very much. So clearly, social proof is very, very important. And I hope everyone took that to heart, and that from today, you start taking social media more seriously. So yeah, I know that you can say that social media is not really a great place to be because of all the trolling, because of all the negativity and things like that. But you can mute all of that. You can mute all that negativity. You can mute all the accounts that are not beneficial to you, that distract you, and then channel your energy into making social media work for you. The other question we have is from Christy. She says, my question is, can a student apply for the fellowship?
Yes, absolutely. Again, track record. What have you done as a student, and how is the fellowship going to help that work? It's more like they're looking for people who have done something with the little that they have, and they want to upscale that work that you have done. So they are supporting you to do that. So as a student, what have you done? I'll use students. There was a medical student actually, there's a medical student who got the fellowship, not in Nigeria. Nigerians. I can't remember. I can't remember what country that person was from, but the person is a medical student. But you could see this person already had a LinkedIn account. I didn't even have a LinkedIn profile when I was in med school. Maybe there was no LinkedIn then. But the person had a LinkedIn profile, and there was track record of work that they had done. They had served on committees providing health services to communities. They had served on the student union government, something. They had chaired projects that did outreaches to communities. There was that track record. And then this person is saying, as I'm graduating medical school, the fellowship will enable me to do blah, 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 blah. So whether you're a student, a graduate, an undergraduate, as long as you have you have something in your hand that you have done and you want to do more, please put in your application. Why not?
Okay, thank you very much. Choma, I've asked you to unmute. Could you please unmute and ask your question?
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't know you already did. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for this rare privilege. I'm so excited to be here. So the first question I wanted to ask is what you already answered. I'm currently a student. Well, I'm waiting for NYSC, but there was little or not much that I did while I was a student. So what do you feel, or what can you advise me to start doing in order to become one of the to be able to gain from things like this?
First, find what you are passionate about. I discovered I did not want to work like 9 to 5 in the hospital in final year, I think, when we did our community medicine project. And I loved it. I liked the fact that we were taking health from the hospital and carrying it into the communities and secondary schools where nobody is really talking about these things. I enjoyed that process, and I could see the change, I mean, in knowledge from the time we got there and the things the students knew to after the project and how their knowledge had improved. So this is something I enjoyed, and that was how I knew that I wanted to do public health, and I did. So find what you are passionate about and just start volunteering. I did that very early on, and it adds credence to your CV. It shows that you are ready to work, and it will fill in a lot of spaces that you ordinarily would have in your CV while waiting for a job. So whether you are volunteering remotely or physically, try to get engaged, find projects that you can be a part of. Learn to shoot your shots, really. Have a template for emails. The organizations may not necessarily pay you stipends, but if it's something you can cover, if it's within your neighborhood or within your community, and it's something that you can lend your voice or support, why not? Join them. And all of these things are what you will add up in your CV and in your application to tell them that this is what I have done so far, and this is what I want to do after. And while you are doing this, don't forget to tell your story. So for some people, it will look like you are bragging or just making noise, but you know what you are doing, right? You are creating a social media trail, and you are building up some sort of social capital, so that when someone goes to look you up, they see that you have done this and you have done that. And these were pictures from this project, and these were pictures from that project. And yeah, you are actually doing something. So within the next 1 year, just go hard, to be honest. Shoot as many shots as possible. Volunteer where you can. Start up projects if you have the resources. Get people to join in and support your projects, volunteer on your projects, and put this out there. Social media is an amazing tool. I can't emphasize that enough. It's a great tool, and if you make proper use of it, next year you could send in an airtight application.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so one last thing.
Okay.
Can volunteering alone in different organizations hold water in applying for a fellowship like this?
I want to say yes and no, but I don't want to give that kind of answer.
Okay.
If you are volunteering for the initial start of your career, yes, you might take some time to really settle in to find the kind of projects that you like to volunteer for. But it makes sense to show some sort of stability, because that will mean that you were invested in that project, and then you will be in a better position to speak about that project, how it started, where it got to, the results that were gotten, and the other projects that you would love to do. So yes, start out. Short-term projects are not a bad idea, to be honest. You can put those in your CV as volunteering experience. But then the longer you stay on a project or with an organization, the easier it is for you to fix that into your CV as actual job experience, like professional experience.
Thank you very much, Dr. K. Thank you, Chioma. I hope everything is clear. And yes, I think why she's also saying that is because the fellowship is for leaders, right? For people who are already leading.
Already leading, yes. They are looking for leaders. So it's not the fellowship that is making you a leader. You have demonstrated leadership capacity, yes, in your community, and they want to support you to do more.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some more questions here. Blessing is asking, I am an HR personnel into recruitment and HR operations. How will be considered valuable to the community? Please give hints on this. Thank you.
Okay. For HR, I would think you should focus on youth empowerment. So as a HR recruiter, you have a solid idea of what organizations are usually looking for when they hire for roles. You have an idea of how CVs should look like. You know what a proper cover letter should look like. So why don't you devote some time to helping young people to be employable? So help them review CVs, help them review cover letters. You can show them the ropes of how a recruitment process goes and how they are able to move from pre-recruitment to recruitment and then working with the organization. Youth empowerment and youth education is a very large sector, so you can tap into that, and that is the value that you are offering. You could start a project, you can start a social media campaign, you can have a social media handle dedicated to just that. You could just be sharing tips on the social media handle, HR 101. If a recruiter reaches out to you for blah, 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 this is what you should not do. HR 102, this is not the kind of thing you should have on your CV, or these are the kind of things you should have on your CV, things like that. Start with social media and get something done, but reach people, offer value to people, and give to your community. That's it.
Yes. So to add to what she has said, no matter what business you are in, no matter what profession you are in, there's always room to impact
Absolutely.
someone within your community or within another community. So just find that impact that you can give and be consistent in providing it. And thank God for social media again these days. You don't have to go to a remote village in Kafanchan to offer your services or do your social work. Your social work can be digital, right? And there are ways you can do that. You can, as the HR that you are, you can offer trainings. You can have a Telegram group or WhatsApp group where you teach and collect testimonials and share on your social media page. That's also one way to do that. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. K. Another question we have is from Christy Amos. She said, thank you for answering my first question. Other questions, are married people allowed into the fellowship?
Your marital status doesn't stop you from traveling, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. So you are actually not allowed to travel with your spouse. They will not cover your spouse's flight tickets or accommodation and other living allowances. But nobody really cares whether you're single or married, as long as you're not bringing your spouse along. So everybody.
Yeah. Then she says, I may need to Google, Sue, but I want to know if one applies for the fellowship and gets it, will the fellowship pay for everything? Are there things you will sort out on your own?
The fellowship pays for virtually everything, because even prior to our travel, they sent some pre-fellowship stipends that were meant to cover for COVID-19 testing, for your movement to the airport, and any other thing that needed to be sorted before then. So it covers that. It covers your flight tickets, return tickets, covers your accommodation while in the US, your feeding. It covers everything, but depending on the institution you go to, you might have more or less money. So some institutions gave out some extra stipends in addition to what IREX, that's the operating body, gave to every fellow. Some institutions gave more than others. Some institutions gave tablets, so I heard. But it covers all of your basics and your living allowances. And then if your institution is super nice and rich, they might give you some shopping money in addition. Almost every institution gave some sort of money. So you do whatever you want with it, but some give more than others. But then it's not bad to have some extra cash on the side by yourself, even though the exchange rate is not smiling. But yeah, the fellowship will pay for everything.
Wow, thank you very much. Any more questions? Okay. Okay, someone says, are all 700 selected fellows invited to the United States or only a selected few?
All 700 go to the US. All 700 go to the US, and you are shared between for our cohorts, we were shared between 27 institutions in the US. So in my institute, we were about 25. Yeah, so you'll find that some institutes have a little less or a little more, but spread around the United States. But all 700 get to go, as long as your visa is approved and you don't have issues.
She says,
sorry, in addition to that, you really should start going to sort out your international passport if you do not have that already and you are planning to apply for the fellowship, because that is one thing that can frustrate you close to the time of travel. If you are not fully vaccinated, I don't know what you're waiting for, Sha. Go and get vaccinated and have a vaccination card. And please if your passport is going to expire in December 2023, go and apply for a new one now and have it ready and handy. Collect it before this year ends, because by the time IREX starts asking for these things, they don't really like to hear stories. They might give some 1 week to 2 weeks extra grace period, but we know how things go in Nigeria. Next thing you know, passport office is telling you come back in 3 months. Go and start doing those things now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Someone would just go through all these tedious applications.
Oh, it did happen.
And not get their visa.
Hey. Oh yeah, I don't want to go into details, but some people actually had issues.
Wow.
And it was absolutely terrible. We were very sad. One person had his passport withheld until the deadline, and then post the deadline, NIMC was now, it was a sad story. You don't want to be in that situation.
This is what we call village people in Nigeria. Okay. So while applying through the business management track, and I have some experience in civic engagement, should I go mute on my civic engagement experiences? Priscilla is asking.
Okay, I kind of answered that earlier, but where do you have the most experience? Focus on that. You could bring in some of your civic engagement experiences as you draft your responses to the essay questions, just to sort of give a well-rounded view to your background, but stick to one story. So if you are focusing on your business management, focus on your business, and then you can talk about how your business engage with the community and just throw in the civic engagement part. But if you want to focus on the civic engagement part, then go hard on it and just mention your business skills as some extras when answering your questions. Don't dance in between. So in the first question, you're answering a scenario from business engagement. The second question, you're talking about something in civic engagement. Let your story be consistent enough in one track, but it's not bad to have experiences in another track, but let that not be the focus of your application.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the answers. I follow you on Facebook. You have a fan. Christy says she's please give her a shout out. Oh, she even knows. Please, this is by the side. You run classes for your non-allergic candle scents. We'll love to learn.
Please send me a DM on Facebook. We have a class coming up in late August. Let's discuss that off camera.
Yeah. My passport expires in 2024. Hope that's cool. I guess it is. The cohort is 2023, right?
Yes, but somebody whose passport was expiring in 2023 we went in 2022, someone whose passport was expiring in early 2023 had to get a new passport, which is why I said this year 2024 is dicey, but depending on the month. So if it's late 2024, I don't think it's a problem. If it is early 2024, say January, February, you are traveling in June, they want a passport that has more than 6 months. So I guess 2024 should be fine.
Aisha, imagine if, okay, sorry. Aisha, imagine if Dr. K has to review everybody's application.
Good me. Just
but what you can do is join the Shecluded network while you're filling your application. If you have any questions, ask. There are lots of people in the community that have won grants, fellowships, application. I know I've won a few myself. So just be in a community where they truly care about your growth and development. Ask your questions, then be active. Don't go and be a ghost. Then the day you need something, you now appear. If you appear, everybody will run away. Run from ghosts. So when you're in a community, be active, contribute. Then when you have any questions and you ask, everybody knows you already. They would be willing to help you. So yes, that's it. Oh, wow. We have spent 53 minutes of Dr. K's time. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Please, I have a question. Can I ask?
Who?
There was a hand up.
I have been raising my.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. You can go ahead and ask your question, please. Hello. Hello, Modiba.
Okay. I've been talking. I didn't know I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So my question is that I want to know what the fellowship is really about. So is it that it gives scholarship to go to any school in the US and study whatever you want to study? Because majorly I am a finance manager, and I also run a startup. So I already know that I'm going for business management, right? But I just want to know what the foundation would eventually be offering us when we get the foundation scholarship, when we get to join the fellowship. Sorry.
Modiba, that means you were really late because Dr. K really covered everything.
Your background is quite noisy. It's a 6-week study program. It's not a scholarship for you to go to any school that you want to in the US. It's a study program. So you are doing some sort of graduate study. It's an institute, and you will get a certificate in civic engagement, business management, public management, depending on what your track is. They choose the university that you go to, so you don't get to choose. The only thing you can influence is the track that you get chosen for, and that is based on the application that you put in. But then you are going there to study for 6 weeks and network. So you are networking with organizations who work in the sector that you are working with, and then you are able to share ideas, experiences. You can get grants for your business. You can get collaborations, and really it just exposes you to a global community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If this class has been useful to you, here is one thing you can do to say thank you to. Okay, sorry, let me mute this person. Okay. Here is one thing you can do to appreciate Dr. K. Take a screenshot of your screen. Now, post on your Facebook and Instagram story, tag Dr. K _ and tell her how this class has been beneficial to you. Do this now so that when you go to her DM to shoot your shots, you will hit a mark. Take a screenshot of your screen right now post on your social media pages, post on your stories, tag Dr. K _. Is it double underscore, just one underscore?
It's one underscore.
Okay,
one
Dr. K _, and tag Shecluded as well. And tell everybody that this class has been beneficial to you. Thank you so much again, Dr. K.
Thank you.
See you back in the network on our Telegram group. If you're not on our Telegram group, you are snoozing. Please join. I'll share the link again. Okay, I'll share the link again. Have a blessed evening, everyone. But just hold on if you don't have the link yet. Thank you very much, Dr. K.
Thank you for having me.
Last thing to do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to do that. Okay, that's the link to our Telegram group. And let me also share Dr. K's Instagram link. Copy profile. Yes, Christy, one underscore. Dr. K, one. I've sent the link to her social media page. All right, everyone. Bye. You can all go now. I'll just stay as good host that I am until everyone has left.